from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there, good evening and a warm welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing you the top stories from home and from across the world. I am Lakshita Edrisinghe.
And I'm Ali. Let's have a look at the headlines first. The President stresses that the budget will create future of the country. 10,000 rupees cost of living allowance for state sector employees. Ownerships will be granted to the occupants of state-owned housing schemes. Pension allowance will be increased by 2,500 rupees. The amount allocated for Aswaswa beneficiary program will be tripled. 2 million will have benefits. 4 members of same family are missing by an earth slip at Bambragala in Balangoda. The biggest hospital complex in Gaza has been closed. On to those stories and others in detail, and your top story for tonight is President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the budget 2024 will build the future of the nation and lay the foundation for a new economic outlook in pursuant to global trends.
The President made these remarks presenting the appropriation bill for the year 2024 in the Parliament today. This is the 78th budget of independent Sri Lanka. The President arrived in the Parliament premises at 11:30 a.m. this morning. As the Minister of Finance, the President started delivering the budget speech at about 12 noon. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that people should spend according to the income they receive. That is what the Buddhist economic philosophy demonstrates to us. However, for the majority of the 75 years following independence, our spending has often diverged from our generated revenue. The President said that one might think that the governments of this country spent lavishly and wasted money. Not just governments, the country as a whole has lived beyond its means. Government jobs, safeguarding public resources, delivering relief packages, reducing commodity prices and increasing salaries. The country became indebted to the country as well as to the world to lead pompous and extravagant lives by not aligning revenue to our expenditure. The situation reached a point where we felt as if we were left not with a country, but we were in a state akin to hell. No one stepped up to accept the challenge of rescuing the country in the face of this challenge. Instead, they gave up offering various excuses similar to those given by Andere when confronted with the task of lifting the rock. Some individuals turned to astrology for guidance, while others imposed conditions that could not be constitutionally accommodated. It is under these circumstances that I assumed the responsibility of leading this nation. It is under these circumstances that the President assumed the responsibility of leading this nation. At the time, the President took over a patient who was dying, a country that resembled a living hell, a derailed economy that had been brought to its knees. The President beseech you that parties should stop propagating lies for political motives. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's think about the country rather than about our politics. Let's get together to uplift the country. Let's think about the political agendas when our country is strong. According to the new Central Bank Act, money printing is not allowed. Therefore, if the country cannot increase the government revenue by 10% to 15%, we will end up with an economic hell again. If the taxes are reduced, that gap has to be filled with something else. This issue cannot be resolved by simple and sweet promises as some groups are proposing. Our revenue target for this year is 3,415 billion rupees. Out of that, we have collected 2,410 billion rupees so far. This represents that we have failed to generate the targeted revenue. People have to work hard to collect the targeted revenue. The public suffers due to the loss-making state-owned enterprises. The loss of these institutions is borne by the public. The political groups that call the national treasures are piling up the burden of these loss-making state-owned enterprises and pulling the whole nation backward. Meanwhile, corruption and fraud are spread everywhere over the country like cancer. The government has introduced the laws and acts to avoid stealing the wealth of the nation. There are allegations on some persons claiming that they have stolen the wealth and resources of the nation. However, we have to rethink the people who stole the wealth and resources of the nation as well as the future of the nation. Several political groups stole the future of the nation by nationalizing successful enterprises. Some groups stole the future of the nation by protesting against the leasing out of unutilized properties such as the Trincomalee oil tanks. Some groups stole the future of the country by protesting against the apparel industry. The future was stolen by developing the port. The list is lengthy. Remember, they also steal. The political groups who protested against every development project did not allow the development of the Trincomalee oil tank complex. They wanted to allow the Nuwara post office to crumble down in the same manner they allowed the oil tanks to corrode and crumble down. They did the same thing for the old post office located inside the Galle Fort. Now that building has been crumbled down. If the government allocated that building for the tourism industry at the right time, we still have that historic landmark building and the country earn foreign exchange. The political and economic concepts that have been implemented in our country have been failed. Please understand that. Make your neighbor understand that. We have no journey ahead if we do not construct a fresh political and economic system. The political and economic system that prevailed in the country has to be completely upended. The President pointed out this during the previous budget speech. As Sugatipala De Silva wrote in his play Marat Sadhe, we must have a fresh perspective. The social convention deep-rooted in the country was the government has to do everything. This is why the government intermediate in every enterprise by making them weak and taking them over. However, it is confirmed that the said social convention is failed and outdated. We have to construct our own economic and political system considering past experiences, global trends and future challenges. A new social convention has to be constructed. The economy is being healed due to the correct procedures and methodologies we followed during the past year, building the foundation of this system. The essential commodities are now available in abundance. Interest rates declined from 30% to 15%. Continuous power supply is ensured. There is no shortage of fertilizer. The primary deficit of the year 2021 was 5.7% of the gross domestic product. During the first half of the year, we were able to achieve a primary surplus. Amid the deep economic crisis, we were able to increase the tax revenue by 50% in the first 6 months of the year. The inflation, which was skyrocketed up to 70% in September 2022, declined to 1.5% in October 2023. Foreign reserves increased to $3.5 billion from zero. The confidence placed in us by foreign countries was restored. However, we have a long way to go. We were able to achieve increasing progress during the past year because of the honest sacrifices made by the majority of our people. Because of their courage against various difficulties, the government will gradually set the background to ease these difficulties. We are devoted to providing more facilities and benefits as our economy recovers and our economy stabilizes. Some people denote this budget as an election budget. The reason is the presidential election and the general election is scheduled in the next year. Such a budget is designed to provide various concessions and salary increments aiming at an election victory. This is what happened during the past 75 years since independence. This is a budget that constructs the future of the country. This is a budget that was prepared for the victory of the country. A budget that was prepared according to the Buddhist philosophy. Several proposals have been included in this budget based on the concept of Samajivikata concept to ensure victory for the country and the country's future. We were able to present a budget that will strengthen the country's future despite their many problems. But in this journey there are a number of other problems in front of us that must be faced and overcome. There are no beautiful answers to these questions. Creating fairy worlds will not solve these problems. We have to find answers to these questions gradually and scientifically. These issues should be resolved without breaking the concept of symbiosis. That is the challenging work we are doing now. The President said that if they are to act according to the whims of the opposition, the reforms extended from the IMF will be halted and the debt restructuring operation will come to a standstill. Confidence is broken and foreign exchange flow into the local banking system will stop. With a shortage of foreign exchange comes the shortage of essential goods. Power cuts, fuel shortages will occur again. The prices of goods and inflation are rising beyond imagination. Since the International Monetary Fund program was approved in March, the foreign income we started receiving again will halt. The government will have to borrow more from the domestic market by raising interest rates again. If that happens, we will slide back into economic hell. Our economy is derailed beyond repair. Remember, if that happens again, no one in the world will come forward to save Sri Lanka. The trust placed in us by all parties, including our external creditors, the International Monetary Fund, is broken. We are inheriting the unfortunate situation that happened to a country like Lebanon. In order not to fall back into such a situation, the economic and political system of our country must be created anew. A new social consensus should be established. What we have done in this budget document is to lay the foundation for it. We can no longer become a nation dependent on others. After independence, our first development project, the Galloy campaign, was carried out with our own funds. At that time, we also gave loans to Britain. But today, we are begging in front of the whole world. So the President requests all the parties of this House to join the work order to rebuild the country. Budget 2024 proposes to increase public sector salaries without affecting the fiscal balance.
And steps have been taken to extend an increment of 10,000 rupees additionally to the current cost of living allowance of 7,800 rupees from January next year.
The cost of living allowance of 3,525 rupees per month for public sector pensioners will be increased by 6,025 rupees from April next year.
And accordingly, budgetary allocations and other facilities have been extended through the budget for many sectors, including education, health, agriculture, fisheries and social security. Government employees have not received a salary increase since 2015. Accordingly, Budget 2024 has proposed to increase public sector salaries without affecting the fiscal balance. Steps have been taken to extend an increment of 10,000 rupees additionally to the current cost of living allowance of rupees 7,800 from January next year, increasing up to 17,800 rupees. The General Treasury begins to receive government revenue typically by February and March. Therefore, the government is expecting to add this allowance to the monthly salary from the month of April. Under the budget, the cost of living allowance of 3,525 rupees per month for public sector pensioners will be increased by 6,025 rupees from April next year. Budget 2024 has proposed to provide the distress loan facility for all the public sector employees effective from January 1, 2024. The Budget 2024 has also proposed to increase the monthly allowance of 5,000 rupees extended for persons with disabilities and kidney patients up to 7,500 rupees. The budget has further increased the allowance for senior citizens from 2,000 rupees to 3,000 rupees. It has proposed to provide a monthly allowance 4,500 rupees for pregnant women and to allocate 2 billion rupees for this initiative. The beneficiaries who are on the waiting list and are already receiving financial assistance will be entered into the Aswasava list of beneficiaries from 2024. 138 billion rupees have been allocated through the budget in this regard. The budget has allocated a total amount of 50 billion rupees for the development of small and medium-scale enterprises with a financial space worth around 250 billion rupees. Meanwhile, 2 million families will gain the ownership of land and farmland under Urumaya program, and budget has allocated 2 billion rupees for this purpose. Budget 2024 has proposed to grant land rights and build houses for estate workers. 4 billion rupees has been allocated for this purpose. Under the budget, the collection of rent from houses provided on an interest basis to urban low-income families will be suspended and transfer the ownership of these housing units to the occupants. Nearly 50,000 families will be provided with house ownerships in 2024. A total of 600 million rupees have been allocated to provide the necessary facilities to expeditiously complete BIM Savia program. The Budget 2024 has proposed to provide 11,250 million rupees through the district coordination committees for the decentralized budget program. This program will be implemented under the supervision of the Department of National Planning. A total of 10 billion rupees has been allocated for Khandurata Dashkaya, a 10-year multipurpose rural and community development program for the hill country areas of Sabaragamu and central provinces, as well as Badula, Mathura and Kurunegala districts from the year 2024. The budget has further proposed to allocate 1,260 billion rupees for the development activities of next year. Budget has also proposed to allocate 10 billion rupees for the year 2024 for the renovation of rural roads which have become dilapidated. Meanwhile, considering roads and bridges which have been damaged due to the floods, landslides and other natural disasters, the budget has allocated 2,000 million rupees to rehabilitate those damaged rural roads. The government is expecting to prioritize drinking water projects when allocating decentralized budget and obtaining foreign loans. The government is also expecting to implement a series of comprehensive education reforms. A group of 25 experts has been appointed to prepare the new National Education Policy Framework. Institutions such as the Higher National Council on Education, National Higher Education Commission and the National Skills Commission will be established under the new reforms. Furthermore, steps will be taken through the budget to establish 4 new universities considering current trends for the technical sector, such as Sitavaka Science and Technology University, which will be comprised of Lalit Atulat Mudali Post Graduate Institute, Kurunegala Technology University under the Kotalavala Defence University, Management and Technology University and International University of Climate Change. Laws are expected to be introduced to recognize private higher education institutions, NSBM, SLIT, Horizon Campus and Royal Institute as private universities. Budget 2024 has proposed to establish an education university focused on education by integrating 19 colleges of education. Accordingly, 1 million budgetary provisions will be made for this program. A new technology university will be established in Kandy under the guidance of IIT University in Chennai, India as per the budget. The budget has also proposed to make an allocation of 500 million rupees for the English for All 10-year program. Budget has made provisions to reintroduce the Suraksha Students Insurance Scheme benefiting all school students. An allocation of 25 million rupees in 2024 has been made under a 3-year plan to upgrade the facilities of the National Drugs Quality Assurance Laboratory. Under the budget, 75 million rupees will be allocated for this year for the strengthening of the infrastructure and laboratory facilities of the Medical Research Institute. Also, 300 million rupees will be allocated for the establishment of a resuscitation unit at Badula Teaching Hospital and for the purchase of necessary equipment. Budget 2024 has also proposed to expedite the arrangements to adopt a promotion scheme that is applicable to both specialist and graded doctors. A proposal has been made to expand the postgraduate opportunities available for doctors. Meanwhile, 100 million rupees will be allocated to provide local and Ayurvedic wellness tourists under the concept of Sri Lankan wellness. Government is expecting to establish provincial agricultural and fisheries modernization boards to assist in development of agricultural and fisheries sectors. Also, all agrarian services centers will be upgraded as agriculture modernization centers. Accordingly, a joint program will be implemented from the 2023-24 Maha season with an allocation of 2,500 million rupees. Budget 2024 has been allocated to remove legal impediments to grow other crops in bare uncultivated lands in wet zone. Budget has further indicated to allocate 300,000 acres from other government lands including State Plantation Corporation, Mahavali, A and B zones and Land Reform Commissions for large-scale agricultural activities. Also, 100 million rupees will be allocated to implement national branding efforts to realign Sri Lanka's direction as a top tourist destination and attractive investment hub. Budget 2024 has been proposed to introduce gender-based budgeting and make related legislation. Under the budget, the government is working to introduce laws for the empowerment of women. Budget 2024 has also proposed to allocate 500 million rupees as an additional provision to speed up the housing program for internally displaced people in Northeast. Also, 1,000 million rupees will be allocated to expedite the payment of compensations for the families of victims and missing persons. Meanwhile, 1.5 billion rupees has been allocated from the budget for the development of school cricket and provincial level. The budget has also indicated that the proposals will be called from local and foreign investors to establish station plaza or railway station towns, a mixed development projects. Furthermore, 2 billion rupees has been allocated for the construction of the Higurakuda International Airport under the budget. The budget has also pointed out that attention will be extended to commence the second phase of the Central Expressway following the foreign debt restructuring process. Also, 3,000 million will be allocated for the implementation of foreign debt restructuring and settlement of international sovereign bonds under foreign debt restructuring. The government is keen to ensure that all prudent measures are taken for long-term banking stability. To this end, for systematically important banks, an independent asset quality review supported by the IMF program was conducted. The preliminary results of this asset quality review indicate the need to build additional capital accumulation on prudent basis. Accordingly, the President through the budget has proposed to allocate 450 billion rupees to support the capital improvement process in the banking system. Meanwhile, the budget has indicated that bank recapitalization and external debt restructuring will require the issuance of new and debt rate instruments with longer maturities. Therefore, the President pointed out that budget allocations are needed to settle the existing debt and the borrowing limit needs to be increased. Accordingly, the budget has proposed to increase the borrowing limit from 3,900 billion rupees to 7,350 billion rupees.
Now, in the meantime, several ministers and parliamentarians expressed their views regarding the budget proposals at the Parliament complex. Opposition leader Sajith Premdasa said that this budget is a trick that attempts to deceive people in the country. State Minister Dr. Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that the government cannot expect a better comment than this from the opposition leader. There is a very conventional opposition in the country. It is unaware of the specific conditions of financial management in the island. Earlier, the government was in a difficult situation even to pay their salaries. It was proposed to pay monthly salaries in 2 installments. A salary cut was also proposed. Parliamentarian Harsha De Silva said that this budget seems to be an attempt to direct the economy towards a positive target. Parliamentarian Anura Kumar Disananka said that the budget does not provide steadfast solutions for the deep economic crisis in the country. Instead, the government seems to carry out old conventional economic strategies. State Minister Shehan Semasinghe said that nearly 5 million families will have a certain kind of benefit from this budget. A system has been planned to enable the needy families to enhance their economy. This has become an attempt taken by both state and private sector jointly to steer the country forward.
අනුගමනය කරපු රජය සහ පෞද්ගලික අංශය කියන දෙපාර්ශවයම ඒකාබද්ධව ඉදිරියට ගමන් කරන අයවැයක් බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. පවතින තත්ත්වය
Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that under the existing circumstances, the government has introduced the best budget. As requested by the President, the opposition should submit better proposals than the government's proposals.
In the meantime, 4 members of the same family have gone missing in an earth slip occurred in Bambaragala mountain area in Balangoda. Relief workers have started a search operation to locate them. This earth slip occurred last night due to heavy rain experience in the area. A house has been totally buried under soil and 3 more houses have been damaged. The victims have been identified as the father, mother and 2 daughters of the same family. Members of the Sri Lanka Army Balangoda and Upanayaka Police Station and Balangoda Divisional Secretariat Office have jointly started a search mission to find the missing persons. Nine residents of the other houses in the area have been relocated in safer places. One person who was injured by the earth slip has been hospitalized. Senior geologist of the National Building Research Organization, Dr. Vasanta Senadura, said that the signs of a possible earth slip been identified from an area in the Gabrahena Gram Niladari division. The residents living in this area have been informed to evacuate their houses at about 5 p.m. However, residents of one house have not heeded the call, and later by about 6:30 p.m. the earth slip occurred, burying the house. The Met Department says that the disturbance of the lower atmosphere over the island will continue. Therefore, showers and thunder showers may occur at times in many areas of the island.
Meanwhile, Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe today filed an objection before the Court of Appeal requesting to remove the interim order of suspending the Sri Lanka Cricket Interim Committee. The Sports Minister had appointed an interim committee on the 7th of this month suspending the activities of Sri Lanka Cricket. Later, Sri Lanka cricket officials filed a petition against this decision. Considering this petition, the Court of Appeal issued a stay order for 2 weeks suspending the interim committee. The Sports Minister today filed this objection to get the stay order removed. Meanwhile, Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe also lodged a complaint at the CID regarding the problem erupted at Sri Lanka Cricket and the death threats posed against him following this incident.
Moving on, the appeal courts today ordered to resummon 3 petitions filed against State Minister Sanat Nishanta on the 31st of January next year. These petitions have been filed under the charges of contempt of court. These petitions were summoned today under a panel of appeal court judges Shobita Raj Karuna and Dhammika Ganepala. Considering the facts submitted by the lawyers for and against respondent, the judges fixed the date of 31st of January to resummon the petitions. The petitioners were attorneys at law Priyalal Sirsena and Vijita Kumara and the Sri Lanka Judicial Officers Association.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that global meteorological agencies have forecast severe drought condition in the upcoming yellow season. The minister requests the farmer communities therefore to use water in the irrigational reservoirs sparingly. The minister made these remarks at a ceremony held to popularize passion fruit cultivation in the Hambantota district recently. At this ceremony, Sri Lanka Hadabim Authority distributed cultivation sets of equipment to 70 farming families of those who are engaged in passion fruit cultivation. This passion fruit cultivation project has been implemented targeting the demands of the international market. Stay tuned with us. News from overseas coming your way after this short break.
Prima Kottumi, Pantamai. Prima Kottumi, Pantamai.
Welcome back after the break. And on news overseas, the World Health Organization says Al Shifa Hospital in Gaza City is not functioning as a hospital anymore.
Gaza's health ministry says that 6 premature babies and 9 patients have died since electrical shortages began affecting Al Shifa Hospital several days ago.
Gaza's hospitals, using patients and civilians.
WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus warns of a dire and perilous situation, saying more patients, including premature babies, are dying. Gaza's 2 largest hospitals, Al Shifa and Al Quds, have both closed. Israeli snipers continue to fire at anyone near Al Shifa Hospital, trapping thousands inside. Gaza's health ministry says about 100 bodies are decomposing in the courtyard of the hospital. Israel Defense Forces spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said Israel had opened designated routes from hospitals in northern Gaza to the south and was speaking with officials at Al Shifa to offer assistance to safely transport the sick and the wounded.
A lot for generators has run out. Babies taken off incubators, huddled together to stay warm.
We'll always contribute to the well-being of humanity, and all of a sudden,
Shifa Hospital has requested that tomorrow
Prima Kottumi, Pantamai.
A quick look at the sports updates before we wind up for today. International Cricket Council has inducted Sri Lankan former cricket captain Aravinda De Silva into the ICC Hall of Fame class of 2023.
In addition to Arvind De Silva, Indian star batter Virendra Sehwag and former Indian cricketer Diana Adulji have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Adulji is the first woman who was bestowed to this honour.
In the meantime, all group stage matches of the ICC World Cup cricket tournament ended yesterday. The final group stage match was played in Bangalore between India and the Netherlands.
Batting first, India scored 410 runs for 4 wickets in their 50 overs. Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul built up a partnership of 208 runs for the 4th wicket. KL Rahul scored 102 runs. Shreyas Iyer scored 128 not out. In reply, Netherlands were all out in 47.5 overs for 250 runs. Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, Kuldeep Yadav and Ravindra Jadeja claimed 2 wickets each for India.
His 4th overall. Oh, that's massive.
India, South Africa, Australia and New Zealand have qualified for the Super 4 round matches of ICC World Cup cricket tournament. The first semi-final match will be played in Wankhede grounds on the 15th of this month between India and New Zealand. The second semi-final match will be played between Australia and South Africa on 16th of this month. And the final match will be played in Ahmedabad on the 19th of this month.
Prima Kottumi, Pantamai.
And that's all the stories for tonight. Do join us tomorrow for more of the very latest. Until then, good night.